I wanted to say that I'm happy to be helpful in any way that I can be in regard to issues that are still facing the turnpike. I feel as if I'm leaving them down, frankly. The Gorham connector is probably the primary one. We put people in this room, HNTD, for many years, who have invested major portions of our lives putting this program together, put the project together. Bruce and DOT have stepped up as a very important ally at this point. And we're facing a situation that it seems this happens over and over again, not just in Maine, but in other places in the United States. But there are certain organizations that need to have an enemy. And sometimes the enemy is CNP or Hydro-Quebec or the Sears Island project or the highway that DOT is finally building up east of Bangor to get trucks on the road to Canada. These very, very, very important infrastructure projects that have been studied by the most capable engineers that we can find, and then you get out into the public domain trying to present the virtues of any such project, and suddenly you realize there are people out there, and there are organizations, frankly, that will see such an opportunity, see that the opposition to such a project can actually produce revenue. I'm sorry to be so cynical, but I've had 16 years in the legislature, and I've been lobbied by all of them. It just happens. Eventually, it comes clean. And I think the turnpike itself is a good example of that. In 1991, these groups got organized to say, oh, we don't need to widen the road south of Scarborough. 4 lanes is enough. That was built in 1947. It's perfectly fine. Because people were driving with white knuckles. And then 6 years later, the instigation of the turnpike, the legislature gave an opportunity to do another referendum, in which case by that time it passed overwhelmingly, and we now have a 6-lane road. And something similar happened down in York, which is when the chairman and I came in. It took us 3 or 4 years to get a permit to do something as simple as taking out miserable toll plaza that we had that was literally sinking into the middle of the earth. There was 6 feet of paving piled up to fill the mud where the mud had been as it was sinking, and yet the town joined up with its constituents to fund an opposition program to the thing, which we overcame. We did it. We got the Army Corps, we got the DEP to agree that this was an essential thing to be done, and then there was an appeal to the Superior Court, and went that far, and we prevailed there. That was the first 2 or 3 years, I think, that Dan and I were here fighting that battle. That was worth it. It was innate. And today, one of the things we get compliments about, unsolicited from people, in many cases visitors who don't come here very often, they're so pleased with that brand new ran-through plaza that we have down in York. And the truckers, can't say enough about it. So these things happen eventually. Gorham Road will have the Gorham Highway, the fact that there is a need for an independent connector coming in from South Gorham to the turnpike is something that will get built. And it will take patience, and it will take time. And I think one of the questions you probably already discussed, and that is, well, what do we do? We've already announced that we're going to do some public engagement in a different mode and take some time to look over the whole project. And the question then, I think, for us internally is how can we take advantage of that extra time that we're giving ourselves. And my own view is that we've got 6 instruments over at Crosby that are capable of measuring traffic. And one of the crazy arguments that's being made lately is that the traffic, people are staying home now with the COVID. They learned from COVID that you can work on your computer and the employers are going along with it. That's not a traffic problem. The traffic problem is, not here anymore, which is nuts. I drove the other day westbound at 8 o'clock in the morning down the overland. I had to go out and do some filming up there. I counted 700 parked cars waiting for a chance to go through the Saco Street intersection. And I don't know, they could still be there for a while. There was no motion, no movement. And the lost productivity is just astonishing. These are people that live in Hollis and Brunswick and Buxton and many other places, frankly, where there are housing starts and where housing is needed. There just needs to be regional planning surrounding in connection with this whole region west of Portland. There are 140,000 cars a day that go into Portland, not from the west necessarily, but most of it's coming, in many cases, much of it is coming from the east and the north. But the west of Portland contributes its share. The state of Maine and its communities need to address the issues of housing shortage, mobility, and safety. There are people dying in South Gorham and North Scarborough. And part of it is there was such anxiety 30 years ago to get the traffic out of downtown Gorham that they went down to Congress. These are town selectmen. They're from, they went to school, high school. They went down to Congress and they got a special allocation of money to allow DOT the capacity to build the bypass, which bypassed downtown Gorham and dumped all of that Route 25 traffic into the middle of little South Gorham, which is nothing but was then and still is just a little village. And the roads out there were never intended, and people that negotiated that never intended that traffic simply be dumped into South Gorham. People make their own money. It's just crazy. The bypass was always intended as the beginning of a connector into the turnpike, and that's what it was designed for, and it needs to be fulfilled. Anyway, destiny is on our side, and time needs to pass so that the public will begin to digest it better. We can help them. My own suggestion is that we do a better job of collecting data on a real-time basis, almost constantly, with the machines that we have that's attached to a telephone pole, where you can count cars. And we ought to be publishing on some regular basis. Oh, what's the latest count? Treat it like the weather and stuff. Broadcasting to the local newspapers what the traffic situation is in South Gorham and North Scarborough. Just keep reminding people. And then, God help us, there are accidents. There are 8 high crash locations in this region. And there are people, not too long ago, 3 people died in front of sliding on the overland. To make sure you understand the whole background, it was a snowstorm, so it wasn't necessarily the road itself. But if there had been an overlap, if our road had been built, it wouldn't have been, the accident would not have happened under those circumstances. Anyway, there's a lot of it. We have a big job to do to keep peppering away. Dale Doughty was saying the same thing, and Bruce, I think, agrees that we need to start peppering the towns, the councils, local newspapers, great source, just news about further progress and understanding better the need for this connection. That the legislature voted for overwhelmingly when the former governor had vetoed it because he didn't want to toll. He vetoed it because it wasn't necessary. He vetoed it because he didn't want to put a toll on it. And yet it passed, I forget, 95%. So anyway, I think that's the current challenge. It just seems like this poor organization of ours, if we were just left alone to run the main line, get up in the morning and go plow snow and do whatever, take care of the trucks and collect tolls, and life would be, a little more relaxed. But we get signed these, we keep coming up with these things. The legislature comes up with these things. But just recently, we're right now on the cusp of finishing up the Saco interchange, which will be done in a few months. Bruce went down and handled that for us when he was working for us. And he came up with a bright idea and says, well, why doesn't the town manage the discussion about this? It doesn't look like a DOT project, doesn't look like a turnpike project. It's a town project. We'll pay for everything but the town managed the meetings and so on. And it came off, I thought, very well, as well as the public engagement process was successful because of that idea. And we did get a lot of static from some of the residential neighbors, and I went down on the board of the board member and calmed them down. But that's a fabulously important piece of infrastructure to draw traffic in from the west of the turnpike that is otherwise, that traffic otherwise doesn't quite know where to go. A lot of it's coming up through South Florida, by the way, 22. But it will be a major improvement to mobility south of Portland. Anyway, I'm rambling, but those are my parting thoughts as I